Number 13 Christian Wood. The Detroit Pistons acquired the fourth-year big man off waivers last summer. And when you look at some of the highlights before his time in Detroit, there was definitely potential and explosiveness right away when watching Christian, but he never really got the shot to prove he belongs. Christian had a nice stretch of games with New Orleans at the end of last year. But he only played 8 games in total on the year, spending most of his time playing his fourth G League season where he averaged 29 and 14 for their Wisconsin Herd. But the stats in his first year with the Pistons don't even come close to telling the whole story of what's true impact for them. Whether it's running the fast break by himself going coast to coast, blocking multiple shots in a row or throwing down some beautiful oops, Detroit was much more dangerous and fun to watch with him out there. Pistons coach Dwayne Casey needs to be giving him more than 21.4 minutes per game next year. Because Wood was among all the elite defenders at the 4 spot to rank 11th in defensive real plus-minus at his position, but who knows if the Pistons will even be able to resign them in free agency. Number 12 Brandon Clarke. Memphis hasn't gotten a ton of respect overall for shocking the world in 2019-20 by getting into the play-in tournament when they were projected to be a 15-win team before the season. Brandon Clarke was specifically overlooked, though his rookie teammate John Moran, and the progression of his sophomore teammate Jaren Jackson Jr. got all the credit. Because of that, you probably weren't aware that Clarke was in the 94th percentile for mid-range. Makes the Grizzlies rookie combines both his vertical leaping ability and floater/push shot mechanics to excel from that area. Brandon is also an extremely efficient three-point shooter, making 44% of his 52 attempts last year. Plus he's a versatile defender on the other end. So Clarke and Jaren Jackson Jr. could develop into one of the better front courts in the NBA. Number 11 Nikola Vucevic. He's the only player in the league with an active streak of 25-plus double-doubles in 8 consecutive seasons, but Nikola's name is never brought up in a conversation about the top centers in the NBA. He doesn't have a single all-star caliber teammate, except for maybe Aaron Gordon, yet has led the Magic to back-to-back playoff appearances. If Orlando had more talent at their guard spots, then Vooch would have a lot more clout. For the time being, the 30-year-old stretch big isn't getting the respect he deserves from the fans or media. He made the All-Star team in 2019 but was somehow snubbed in 2020. Despite spectacular season averages. Number 10 Dennis Rodman. Nicknamed the Worm, Rodman was one of the greatest defenders of his time. He was at the peak of his career while playing for the Chicago Bulls. Although he had also played for the Lakers, he recorded his most dominant phase for the Bulls dusted off as a player with useless tattoos and piercings. Rodman is undoubtedly a unique player. Dennis won 5 championships and played into All-Stars games. He also bagged 2 NBA Best Defensive Player of the Year and featured in 7 All-Defense First Team. If all this was not enough, he surprisingly snatched 7 NBA Rebounding Champion with his extraordinary skills. However, this isn't enough for NBA pundits to give him a spot in the Hall of Fame. Shame. Rodman has often been criticized for disrupting games with his aggression with other players. Agreed, but that is no excuse for letting his performance go unnoticed. The GOAT Michael Jordan once said about Dennis that he was destined for greatness. He is undoubtedly one of the most NBA underrated defenders of all time. 9. Dominique Wilkins. He is undoubtedly one of the best dunk masters in the game, and arguably one of the most underrated small forward in basketball history. Nicknamed as the human highlight film, Wilkins was unstoppable in his time. His inexhaustible agility and strength rewarded him with the 23 out of 23 free throws record with an average 25 ppg. In 10 consecutive seasons, Wilkins featured 9 times in the All-Stars team and became NBA scoring champion once. Besides, he won the Slam Dunk Championship twice and had also been mentioned in the All-NBA First Team. His achievements have also landed him in Naismith's Hall of Fame. All the achievements of Wilkins, sadly, were not enough for making himself conspicuous. And that's the hard, stinging truth of quantity. Outshining quality once again repeats itself. Another dominant factor for him to be in the most underrated list is the Euro where he was born. However, at the end of the day, NBA fans will never deny that Wilkins was unstoppable in his heydays, and is rightfully in this list of underrated NBA players. Number 8 Jerry West. Ever wondered who features on the NBA logo? Yes, correct. It is a silhouette of Jerry West. Admitted now. How many of you didn't know this mind-boggling fact? Exactly. It is a shame. Nicknamed Logo. For this reason, West was one of the best point guards in the game. Playing for the Lakers straight out of the first draft, West drove them to be one of the best in NBA, mastering the jump shot and being an excellent shooter. West banked many achievements with his skills. Living legend Jerry has an NBA Finals MVP and an NBA championship to his name. He also started a magnanimous 14 times in the All-Star games and 10 times in the All-NBA First Team. West has also been awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom and has coached the Lakers for a time as well. He has also earned his spot in 4 NBA All-Defensive First Team and a Naismith's Hall of Fame. However, this isn't enough for him to be known far and wide. It is depressing that such a phenomenal talent features in the top 10 underrated NBA players list. Number 7 is Alex English. English was the brief spark that hit us and went through even before we realized it. Undoubtedly the most underrated small forwards in the game, Alex was a master of the game. He is still the leading scorer for the Denver Nuggets and has featured in the 11 spots of the NBA all-time scoring history list. Mastering the high release shot, English was an extremely agile and enthusiastic player. One may ask about his achievements, which are not many, to validate his performance. We admit this fact. Then again, we would request you to reconsider the fact that skills also matter. Along with the numbers or stats of a player, leading Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, the all-time greats of the game, English turned out to be the greatest scorer of 1980s. And that same season, he pulled off an average of 25 ppgs and stretched it for an entire decade. His high-flying offensive style of player and who made NBA All-Star games, and he retired as 6th of the NBA all-time scoring list. However, he was no different from being another victim of the era. His efforts could not be acknowledged well as others outshone him. However, we consider he deserves way more respect than he usually receives. Technically, he is one of the most underrated NBA players, though the authorities' justification would be numbered. Nuggets retired number 2 in his honor, but still he deserves huge respect and honor from us. Number 6, Nate Thurmond. Talk about the greatest victims of being overshadowed by greater presence, and Thurmond would be in this discussion undoubtedly. Playing alongside the old-time great Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell, Nate played 11 seasons for the Golden State Warriors. Nate again has many achievements to validate his skills. Though he hasn't won any championships. He had 7 NBA All-Stars to his name, and was also included in the 2 All-NBA defense team. To complement things further, Nate was the first player to record the quadruple-double. However, as already mentioned, he was hugely overshadowed by Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell's presence. Yet as a gesture of gratitude to his performance, Golden State Warriors retired number 42. Sometime later, when block shot was a statistical category, the NBA included him in their 50th all-time team. He is known for his ferocious defending, and this is one of the most underrated NBA defenders in the game. Number 5 is Lafayette Fat Lever. Nicknamed as Fat Lever, he features from the same team as English Denver Nuggets. Playing as a point guard, Lever should have been considered in top 5 of the Nuggets. However, a victim of the era, he has slipped between and is now lost. Lever's best season was arguably 1988-89 season, and that season he achieved 9 steals in 1 quarter, and that same season, he averaged a total of 19.8 ppgs, 9.3 rpgs and 7.9 apps. Thus, he is not any different from English. His fame was short-lived and was done in no time. Though he has 2 NBA All-Stars games and 1 All-NBA team, his numbers are bleak. Therefore, he receives the conservatory respect from Denver Nuggets. Number 4 is Bernard King. He has mastered the spin move and is by far the most agile player the game has ever seen. He has often been regarded as the player having the fastest release in the jump shot. King has been one of the most underrated NBA players of all time. In a straight explanation, at 6'7", King was unstoppable in the time when he was at his zenith of success. Barnard achieved a 22.5 ppg with the next. The season 4 Knicks was also the most dominant season. That same season, King held an average 28 ppg and maintained it through the decade. King featured in 4 NBA All-Stars games, and also to NBA First Team. He also has the NBA highest score for a season and a few more for his cabinet. However, probably these weren't enough for the association to give him a place in the Hall of Fame. The reason again stands undefined, but we believe King deserves much more than what he gets. King is by far the most underrated NBA small forward in the game. Number 3 is 3. Sam Jones. Jones could have been considered to be among the top 50 players in basketball. Undoubtedly, to be honest, his championship titles are just a number shy from that of Bill Russell's. Then why is he on this list of underrated players? There are no complimentary answers to this. Jones has several achievements along with his 10 championship titles. He has featured in the NBA All-Stars team for 5 times and has also featured in the All-NBA team 3 times. To run along these, he has been mentioned in the 25th as well as the 50th anniversary team. However, ask yourself and you will be astonished knowing the fact that many have no idea about who he really is, and what are the achievements he gained in his career. The numbers are not as great as the other GOATs of the game. Though a victim of the era, he should have lived through the times given his exquisite style. Number 2 is Scottie Pippen. If you are playing alongside the great Michael Jordan and that two on the same team, it is very likely to see yourself being ignored by the media. However, what critiques overlook is that Pippen assisted Michael Jordan throughout the time of his career. Scottie Pippen has undoubtedly been the best defender in the game. Rodman was the only player who could alone stand side by side with Pippen. Let's not forget that Rodman was his teammate and has already been mentioned in our list of the most underrated NBA players. Pippen has quite a few achievements to his name, including 6 NBA championships. He has featured in the NBA All-Stars team 7 times and also has won the NBA All-Stars MVP. He has been the NBA steals leader and also featured an All-NBA team 5 times. Therefore, he got his cabinet shinning and has undoubtedly proven his worth, however, has already been mentioned. The negative impact of playing beside the great M. Jordan, one is bound to be overshadowed. However, Chicago Bulls paid their respect to him by retiring the number 33. Undoubtedly, Pippen is one of the most underrated players in the NBA. And the number 1 cat is Mr. Dennis Johnson. Honestly, how many of you have heard of him? You are definitely aware of the name Larry Bird and McHale. That is obvious. How about Johnson? The point guard from the Boston Celtics was the main man in regulating the play from the defense. With achievements like 3 NBA championships and NBA Finals MVP. Johnson has proven that he is an excellent player. He also played 5 All-Star games and Boston Celtics retired number 3 in his honor. Although in possession of such skill, he never played for himself but for the team. As a player, he has done his part. However, as fans and admirers of the game, we have failed to give him the honor and respect that he deserves. Maintaining a performance at the time of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird isn't an easy feat, but Johnson did it whatsoever. A fantastic basketballer and by far the most underrated player in the NBA, as mentioned earlier, these players were dedicated to their team and have always worked towards a common goal. However, as we stated as fans, we have lost our way. We have failed to address other talents in our quests to ascertain the GOATs. This problem isn't just there in basketball, it is there in every sport. Undoubtedly, we should give other players equal respect as well as they equally entertain us in the game. In our effort to look at the shooter and praise his or her skills, we forget the blocker, the point guards and the defense on which the entire team rests. Gay dominated the series with an MVP performance, reminiscent of the game's all-time greats. If you have a suggestion for us to do a top 13's list, contact us at www.lifeconcierge.com and please make sure to like and subscribe as well as hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching.